chicken in pressure cookers in less than a third the time it took conventional frying. But that was only the start. Dave wanted to soak up all he could about making it in the restaurant business from the Colonel. The master salesman had found his prized pupil.
I was always inquisitive. It's always fascinated me to find out when people are successful, how do they become successful? What does it take to do it?
Dave Thomas and Colonel Sanders were a match made in heaven. The Colonel had the image, and Dave knew how to promote it.
I told the Colonel, why don't we put your mug on the car? He was driving a white T-Bird. And I said, why don't we put your mug on the Thunderbird? Oh, he says, that'd be too ostentatious. Next sentence, when can we get that done?
Dave would have a hand in developing the buckets and spinning signs that made the Colonel's kindly smile hard to get away from. In 1962, the Colonel and Phil Klaus, Dave's boss, had 4 Kentucky Fried Chicken stores in Columbus, Ohio that were failing, and they were looking for someone to throw at the problem.
My dad made him the offer and talked him into moving to Columbus, Ohio with his family and taking over these businesses that weren't doing that well. He went over there and he started merchandising and running 2-for-1s, and all the things that he had learned here he'd put to use, and he turned it around in short order.
Dave Thomas was finally out on his own and running his own show. It should have been fun.
No, he wasn't having fun. No, he wasn't doing much of anything except going to the stores and, and working. And it was work. I mean, back then it wasn't just mental, it was physical labor. He was cooking. I mean, he'd come home at night smelling like grease. Fried chicken and grease. No, there was no party time.
I can remember days where he'd go into a KFC store and the product wasn't right, and he would grab the tray and throw it right in the garbage and tell the manager, start all over and do it right. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all.
Beneath the cheerful exterior and the engaging smile beat the heart of a fast food warrior.
He really didn't want anyone else to be selling chicken in Columbus, Ohio, other than Kentucky Fried Chicken. He really believed we had the best product and that we ought to have all the sales. And so there were probably 2 other competitors at the time, and I remember Dave being absolutely ecstatic when one of them went out of business in this town. And to see boards on their windows, Dave came and said that we had been successful.
He was nostalgic for one of the few things that had made him happy as a kid, an old-fashioned hamburger made to his own specifications. But he was having trouble coming up with a name for his hamburger stand.
I had the name Old Fashioned, and then one night I went home and I have 4 daughters and a son, and the little redhead was Melinda Lou, and everybody called her Winda, not Wendy, Winda. I don't know, I just looked at her and said, I'm going to call it Wendy's Old Fashioned Hamburgers.
And work was great. The chicken was going out, and the praise and the money were coming in just as fast. 20 years after leaving home to work round the clock, Dave Thomas was an overnight success. Now, with a chance to make a fortune, he sold his stores back to Kentucky Fried Chicken in 1967 and made several $1 million. His new financial independence would let him provide for his family beyond anything he'd even dreamed of as a child.
I thought my big deal in life had been KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, when I sold out to the company and become a millionaire. I thought that was, I wasn't ever going to strike anything that big, but I was wrong.
David once thought that if he ever had $10,000 saved, he wouldn't bother to get up in the morning. He was wrong. With money in the bank and time on his hands, Dave Thomas would find out that most of his hard work was still ahead of him.